I was pretty small. And I watched my father, well, I didn't watch, I watched people enter my house to come study with my father. Perhaps they were brides and grooms, and sometimes they were students studying Judaism. To be fair, we weren't actually there watching and listening, we were banished upstairs. But I got to open the door and welcome people into our home, and I was always curious. And in rabbinical school, I had a paper to write. I think it was for professional development. I don't know what Rabbi Leisman had to write or Cantor Goldstein had to write in their days. But I decided to interview, 6 or 7 Jews by choice. That is, adults who had chosen Judaism, chosen to become Jewish. Some of you might refer to them as converts to Judaism, because I was curious. So I interviewed people I didn't know very well. I interviewed a friend from college. And I interviewed some people whom I had grown up knowing, in fact, who had become Jewish in part by learning Judaism from the book with my father and making matzo balls in the kitchen with my mother and had been at our Seder table. And again, I was inspired. I am always inspired. I am inspired by any Jewish choices, and I am particularly inspired by adults who choose Judaism, because those choices are always made out of deep values, to choose practices, connection to history and family. They come out of deep curiosity and principles. And I came to believe, and I still do, that there is nothing more inspiring than speaking with an adult who has chosen to become Jewish. Because to become Jewish, as many of you know, but perhaps not all, there's serious Jewish learning that goes on. Intense self-reflection, the taking on of practice that's not yours, right? Imagine getting up and saying a candle blessing if you didn't grow up hearing it, or lighting the Hanukkah candles, or leading a Seder when Hebrew's not the language you heard from infancy. And there's an incredible amount of wrestling that goes on with belief, with history, with figuring out one's new identity while staying connected to one's family of origin, the family that raised you. So let no one in this room ever say that someone just converted to get married or for whatever reason, because it is never just converting. We, your rabbis and cantor, are blessed to study with students of all ages and backgrounds. Generally, our students take a class, an Introduction to Judaism class, and they meet with us during that time and after, continuing their learning and ultimately going to the mikvah and meeting with a Beit Din, 3 rabbis, cantors, or knowledgeable Jews, 3 learned Jews, to talk about their journey. Conversion to Judaism takes at least a year because we want people to look at the Jewish calendar and celebrate the holidays with an eye toward these becoming their holidays, right? Looking at the Jewish calendar and saying, these are mine. And my students do a project of sorts. They engage in learning about some small corner of the Jewish world, because let's face it, the Jewish world of learning is awfully large and can be incredibly overwhelming. But my goal is for my students to be an expert in one small corner of the Jewish world, and then to teach their Beit Din. I've had PowerPoint presentations, I've had Shabbat tables set before me, I've read beautiful prayers. You heard one of them this evening. I recently saw a painting being made. There's so many ways that my students have taught us. And while conversion is a lifelong journey, we never stop learning. None of us do as Jews. It is never-ending learning. Tonight we do mark a culmination. Jessica has been curious about Judaism for a long time. Annika, you were really small one Shabbat afternoon when you and Mom and Dad walked into the building, and Mom and Dad and I started talking about the preschool. I don't even know if you were old enough for the preschool yet. And Jessica's been studying for the past few years, and as she's done so, she's guided her family into Shabbat practice, here and at home. She's jumped into a journey of prayer learning and prayer writing. And she is, as you saw with 3 other members of her adult B'nai Mitzvah class, she will be called to the Torah on June 11th with the 3 other people who stood with her and a bunch of others. On June 11th, there will be 17 adults called to the Torah in the large sanctuary. So don't miss that either. Jessica has been to the mikveh, and she has taught us, her rabbis, cantors, and teachers, about her journey of prayer. And so tonight, she will formally mark her conversion before us, her community, before her parents, siblings-in-law, and there are a couple of nieces in the room too. So Jessica, I invite you to come forward and speak a little bit about your study, and then you'll all get to be part of this incredible ritual. You coming up too? Okay.
I pray that you find peace in your heart, words that I will never forget. I was consoled with them at a time when I felt at a complete loss for the meaning of life after a family tragedy. I was dumbfounded and angry with just how unfair and cruel life could be. I struggled in confusion, but I knew outside of my home there was another home I could turn to for support. And it was Rabbi Green who brought me into the large sanctuary and sat with me as I struggled to cope with a family's tragedy that took 2 young, innocent lives away from us. We chatted for a while, and then, when the moment was right, she left me with these words: I pray that you find peace in your heart. The words swirled around my brain, counteracting the spinning out of control I was feeling about life. And I sat in the most tranquil of sanctuaries, and through the power of her prayer, I found clarity in this motionless, peaceful setting. Fast forward to that summer and picture a gorgeous blue sky, sunny day atop the bluff of NSCI. The sound of waves emanated to the terrace, and a busy bee was very interested in joining Rabbi Green and me as we studied from my Siddur. My Siddur came into my hands when I was finding and feeling a very strong connection to nature all around me and above me. What I found inside was fascinating. Within its covers, I found prayers full of gratitude in nature. Possessing my very own Siddur has empowered me to lead every celebration at home with the prayers that live within. My favorite prayer is the Dor V'Dor. It is no coincidence, as I've always thought that the only way to live forever will be the stamp you leave on someone's heart that can be passed down. I feel the power of this prayer will speak to my family's hearts as strong as it does mine, and I hope it will be with my generations to come forever. From my very first Shabbat memory within North Shore Congregation of Israel's walls, I have been in love with Judaism. The energy I felt at this particular service was that of rejoice and praise for God. Not only was the discussion enlightening, but the music was coursing through my body and causing my hands and feet to tap with enthusiasm and purpose. I left that service knowing that there was a place for me within these walls, and my family as a whole would prosper here. After that experience, we had the pleasure of meeting Rabbi Green and being introduced to the Gates of Learning preschool, where our daughter Annika came to learn. The preschool was a soft introduction to the rituals and stories that enrich our children's lives. Over the years, I have worked with Rabbi Green on practicing the rituals of Shabbat in our home, which did not come easily. What used to be an on and off celebration in our home has now become, without question, something we look forward to every week. We have also found ways to make Shabbat our very own, often coming together as a family to enjoy music together, and in the summer, enjoying Mom's Shabbatsicles, which are homemade grape juice popsicles. Along with Shabbat, we have made steady ground celebrating other Jewish holidays and understanding why they are important to embrace. Our absolute favorite time as a family to come together at Temple is summertime Shabbats on the terrace. As I stand here, weeks away from becoming a mother again for the 5th time, I'm empowered by a beautiful line I read during my studies with Rabbi Green, found in a book I found in her very abundant library. A mother's sphere of influence on her family touches the immediate generations, but also projects onto future generations of children of Israel. Reflecting on how far I have come in my studies, I know that this little one will have a strong mama to guide her and her older siblings down a bountiful Jewish path. And I cannot thank everyone enough for the encouragement to take this time to become the empowered Jewish woman, wife, mother, and forever student that I am today.
So as some of you know from experience or perhaps witnessing, there are a few things that are part of an affirmation of conversion. I'm going to ask Jessica some questions. They're not surprise. She's seen them before. And then we're going to go to the ark, and she's going to hold the Torah and say Shema, and then we'll bless her. Jessica, do you choose to enter the eternal covenant between God and the people Israel and to become a Jew of your own free will?
I do.
Do you accept Judaism, do you accept Judaism to the exclusion of all other religious faiths and practices?
I do.
Do you pledge your loyalty to Judaism and to the Jewish people under all circumstances?
I do.
Do you promise to continue to establish a Jewish home and to participate actively in the life of the synagogue and the Jewish community?
I do.
Do you commit yourself to the pursuit of Torah and Jewish knowledge?
I do.
You are always and will always be known by your name, Jessica, which means that you are always linked in love to those who gave you life. And from this time forth, you will also be known within the Jewish community as Yaakova, Bat Avraham V'Sara. This is one brave woman, because her children chose her name. May this name bring respect to you and honor to the Jewish people. We rejoice to welcome into our midst one who willingly and devotedly helps replenish the ranks of our people. In a few moments, we will bless you, just as you blessed your children on Shabbat, and those words that I'll bless you with as well on June 11th. We'll turn to the priestly blessing, but first, let's go to the ark. I invite those who are able to please rise. Jessica, as you hold the Torah, we hear the words from our tradition, Eitz Chaim hi lamachazikim ba. It is a tree of life to those who hold fast to it, and all of its supporters are happy. And as you do so, I turn to you to say what we often call the watchword of our faith, the words of Shema, those powerful words of all Jews throughout time and space, said each day.
Shema Israel.
I'm going to give you the book. Hang on. No, I put stuff. Sorry. I was supposed to be holding the book. You got it. You can read it.
Thank you. No, it's okay. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Ehad.
Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. I now invite the rest of your children and Chuck forward as we bless you with the words of the priestly benediction. Okay, guys, everybody put a hand on Mom. You can give her Mom candy later too, okay? Okay, so turn her face, but put a hand on Mom because you guys are going to help bless her, okay? Cease, we need you over here with Mom. Oh, you want candy too? Okay. Everybody needs a good purse. Okay, ready? Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmorecha, Yaher Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka, Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha, Shalom, 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 shalom. May God bless you and keep you. May this be God's will. May God's face shine on you and be gracious unto you. May God's face lift upon you and grant you the most precious of gifts, peace and wholeness in your heart, in your home, and in our world. Mazel tov. Let's join in Shehechianu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Amen. We bless you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who gives us life, sustains us, and has brought us to this wonderful day of joy. Amen. Mazel tov.